My name is Phương Anh. Today I will present an overview of session 5.1, which focus on consumer markets and consumer buyer behavior. This session helps us understand who consumers are and how they make purchasing decisions. By understanding consumer behavior, marketers can develop more effective marketing strategies. First, let's talk about consumer markets. Consumer markets include all individuals and households that buy goods and services for personal consumption. These consumers purchase products for their own use, not for business purpose. Consumer markets play an important role in our daily life. A good example of a consumer market is GrabFood. When people order food on GrabFood for lunch or dinner, they are buying food for personal consumption. Therefore, GrabFood users are part of the consumer market. This shows how consumer markets exist in everyday online platforms. Next is consumer buyer behavior. Consumer buyer behavior refers to how final consumers make buying decisions. This includes decisions about what to buy, which brand or seller to choose, where to buy, and when to buy. These decisions are influenced by personal needs, budgets, and available information. For example, on-road customers often compare restaurant price and review before placing an order. Section 5.1 also introduced the model of consumer buyer behavior. Consumers are influenced by marketing stimuli such as product, price, place, and promotion, as well as other environmental factors. This influence enter the consumer's black box, which represents the buyer mind, personal characteristic, and decision processes then shape how information is evaluated. Finally, the influence leads to consumer response or buying decisions. Consumer decide which product or restaurant to choose, when to buy, and how much to spend. For example, after seeing a promotion on Rafood, a customer may decide to order food from a specific restaurant at dinner time. In conclusion, Section 5.1 explains consumer markets, consumer buyer behavior, the buyer behavior model, and consumer responses. Understanding this concept helps marketers predict consumer decisions and influence buying behavior more effectively.
So right now I will move to learning objective 5.2, which focuses on the four major factors influencing consumer buyer behavior. First, let's look at cultural factor, which operates at the macro level and from the foundation of consumer behavior. So cultural factor include cultural, subcultures, and social class. And now I will briefly talk about cultural, which refers to the shared value and belief people grow up with. So because their values are learned from an early age, many prior decisions happen almost unconsciously. So people often buy certain products simply because everyone around them does the same. And second is subcultures, such as Gen Z, further set behavior. So Gen Z consumer value trends individually and social approval, which explain why they are easily attracted to KOL marketing, hot trends, and limited edition products. So, for example, in Vietnam, consumers often value family and saving, so they tend to prefer combo deal and value for money products. So, the key insight here is that marketing often fails not because the product is bad, but because it does not fit the target culture. Next are personal factors, which explain individual differences in consumer behavior. These include age in life cycle stage, occupation and economic situation, lifestyle and personality, and self-concept. Even people of the same age can make everything different purchasing decision because they differ in income, lifestyle, and image they want to project. For example, part-time students are usually more price sensitive, while wealthier students may care more about brand image. And the key insight of personal factor is that consumers don't buy products, they buy a lifestyle and self-image. So moving on to social factor, we focus on the influence of other people. This includes group and social network, family, and roles and status. Consumers rarely make decisions alone. Instead, they are influenced by friend recommendation, family opinion, and how they want to be seen by others. With social media, platforms like TikTok now act as modern word of mouth, where influencers strongly affect Gen Z purchasing decisions. And a common example is students buy iPhone. Many of them don't buy it just for the future, but because everyone around them use it and it helps them fit in socially. And the key insight is that social influence is strongest for visible products, so that phones, clothing, and cars. Finally, we have the psychological factor, which operate at the deepest level, and these include motivation, perception, learning, and belief and attitudes. And buying decisions are not always logical. They are strongly influenced by what happens inside the consumer's mind. According to Maslow hierarchies of needs, so people buy insurance for safety needs, while luxury goods often satisfy instant needs. And in addition, um, consumers learn from experience. Positive experience lead to repeat purchases, while negative experience lead to brand avoidance. So the key insight is that uh, but psychological factor explain why different consumers can react very differently to the same marketing message.
My name is Sung Lai. My presentation has two parts: the four types of behavior and the five stages of the decision process. Part one: major types of buying decision behavior. Buying behavior is determined by two factors: consumer involvement and brand differences. There are four types of buying decision behavior. They are complex buying behavior, dissonance reducing buying behavior, habitual buying behavior, and the last one is variety seeking buying behavior. First, complex buying behavior. This happens when the product is expensive or risky, like buying a laptop or a car. A consumer do deep research. A marketer must provide detailed info to help them choose. Second, dissonance reducing buying behavior. This occurs when a product is expensive but brand seems similar, like buying a diamond. Consumer might feel regret later, so marketers must send thank you notes or follow-up calls to reassure them. Uh, Third, habitual buying behavior. For daily items like bottled water or toothpaste, we buy it out of habit. We don't think much. Marketers use catchy advertising and repetition to keep the brand top of mind. Uh, For variety-seeking buying behavior, think of potato chips. We switch brands not because we hate the old one, but because we want a new state. Here, big brands try to fill on the shelf, while small brands offer coupons to get you to switch. Part two, stay in the buyer decision process. Uh, Now, let's look at the 5 stages of the journey. The first is need recognition, information search, evaluation of alternative, uh, purchase decision, and the last one is post-purchase behavior. Need recognition. It starts when you feel a need, like being hungry or needing a new phone because your scrap information search. Uh, you ask friends, read reviews on social media, or visit the store. uh, Evaluation of alternative. You compare brand A and brand B based on price or feature. Uh, Purchase decision. You decide to buy, but be careful. A negative comment from a friend or a certain price hike can stop you at the last second. Post purchase behavior. This is the most important stage. If the product is great, you are happy. If not, you experience cognitive dissonance. For marketers, a happy customer is the best advertisement.
Hello everyone, my name is Chen, and today I'm going to talk about the objective problem for the adoption and diffusion of new product. First, the adoption perspective to the masses. The adoption perspective to the mentors that an individual go through when deciding whether to adopt a new product. Diffusion refers to how much to refer to how a new product spreads through a market over time among different groups of consumers. The buyer decision process for a new product. The consumer goes through 5 main steps. The first step is awareness. When consumers first learn about the product, next is interest, where they search for more information. Then comes evaluation, which they decide whether the product is worth trying. After that is trial, when they test the product on a small scale. Finally, adoption occurs when they decide to use the product regularly. If If the consumer is dissatisfied at any stage, the adoption process may cancel or stop. Here, the adopted category. The consumer also adopt new product at different speeds from the diffusion curve. Innovator is the innovator. At the first to try new product and are willing to take risks. Next is the early adopter. Early adopter are opinion leader who influence others. The early maturity. More caution but open to innovation. The late majority are skeptical and sensitive to price. And finally, a blackout, resist gen and adopt product early late. The doesn't depend on 5 key factors. The relative advantage, compatibility, complexity, triability, and observability. For example, Tesla car would be adopted by technology enthusiasts and environmentally conscious consumers. With Tesla explained the charging station improved the battery life and introduced more affordable model. This car was quickly adopted by the early and late majority, demonstrating the diffusion of new product. Okay, now we move to the objective 6.1 for the business market. Objective 6.1 define the business market and explain how business market differ from consumer market. The business market consists of an organization that provides goods and services for further production, resale, or using business operation. Examples include the manufacturer, wholesaler, retailers, governments, and institutions. The market structure and demand. Business market are healthy or like a buyer. For example, the Samsung buy Milo chips from supplier. By consumer usually buy only one phone. Next nature of buying unit. Business purchases are made by a buying center, not one person. For example, when a company buys software, each IT manager remains step and data on participate in the decision. Sometimes business buying situation. Straight buy is a cafe buy the same coffee beans every meal. It's a modified buy. That's the cafe drinks supplier to get better quality. The new buy a new tax in the cafe buy coffee machine for the first time. Business
Business buyer behavior refers to how organizations purchase goods and services for use in producing other products or services or for resale. First, there is a model of business buyer behavior. This model provides a general explanation of how businesses make purchasing decisions. In short, it answers the question, how do businesses make purchases and why do they make those purchasing decisions? There are four major types of buying situation. Straight rebuy. The buyer routinely reorders products without any change. For example, an accounting firm regularly purchases printer ink from the same supplier every month. So, the buying decision is fast and automatic. Modified rebuy. The buyer wants to modify product specifications, prices, terms, or suppliers. For example, a hotel has been buying a bed linens for the same supplier, but now wants better fabric quality, lower prices, or is considering a new supplier. So, the decisions requires more evolution and involvement. New task. The buyer purchases a product or service for the first time. This involves the most complex decisions process. For example, a university purchases a learning management system for the first time. So, this is the most complex buying situation. System selling. The buyer purchases a complete solution from a single supplier rather than buying individual items. For example, a manufacturing company buys a complete production system from Siemens, including machinery, control software, maintenance services, employee training. So the firm buys a total solutions rather than individual products. There are five participants in the business buying process. User. are people who will use the products or service. Influencers are people who help define specifications and provide information for evaluating alternatives. Buyers are individuals who follow authority to select suppliers and arrange purchase terms. Deciders are individuals who have the power to choose or approve the final supplier. Gatekeepers are people who control the flow of information to decision makers. Major influences on business buying behavior, therefore factors. Environmental factors, including economic, technological, political, and competitive force. Organizational factors, including company objective, policy, procedures, and organizational structures. Interpersonal factors, including authority, status, and relationships among participants. Individual factors, including personal characteristics such as age, education, personality, and attitude toward risk. The business buying process is the structured and formal decision-making process used by organizations when purchasing goods and services. Step in business buying process. Problem recognition. The organization recognizes a problem or need. General need description. The organization describes the general characteristic and quantity of the needed products or service. Product specification. The organization develops detailed technical specification. Supplier research. The buyer searches for qualified suppliers. Proposal solicitation. The buyer invites suppliers to submit proposals or price quotations. Supplier selection. The buyer evaluates proposal and selects the most suitable supplier. Order routine specification. The buyer specified the final order details, including quantity, delivery, and payment terms. Final is performance review. The buyer evaluates supplier performance and decides whether to continue, modify, or end the relationship.
And now I'm going to talk about the learning objective 6.4 and 6.5. So first is the learning objective 6.4, the engaging business buyers with digital and social marketing. So as we all know, with the development of digital technology and the internet, the buying process has changed a lot. The learning objective 6.4 examines how organizations buy products and services in modern B2B marketing. So there are two important technology advancements, the e-procurement and online purchasing, and B2B digital and social media marketing. But for today, we're just gonna look at the e-procurement and online purchasing. So e-procurement refers to purchasing through electronic connections and between buyers and sellers that is usually online. Today, online purchasing is a standard practice for most companies because it helps save times and reduce costs. Okay, so there are three main forms of e-procurement. The first one is online purchasing. Businesses buy products and services directly through websites or online platforms. This method is fast, convenient, and allows company to compare prices easily. For example, popular trading platforms like Interactive Brokers, TradeStation, TD Ameritrade, and Robinhood offer different advantages, with some focusing on professional traders while others aim at beginners and retail investors. And next is the company buying sites. Some companies create their own internal purchasing websites. Employees can only order approved products, which helps the company to control spending and standardize purchases. For example, Global Source is a leading B2B platform that connects buyers with suppliers across various industries. Amazon Business is a B2B marketplace that connects wholesale suppliers with online retailers. And the third form is extranets. And the third form is extranets. Extranets are private networks that link companies with their suppliers. They allow both sides to share information, place orders, and coordinate deliveries efficiently. For example, a supplier logs into an extranet to submit documents, track orders, and communicate with the organizations. And business to business e
procurement yields many benefits. It reduces paperwork, lowers administrative and transaction costs, speeds up the buying process, and allows organizations to focus more on strategic sourcing rather than routine purchasing tasks. So next we're gonna move on to the learning objective 6.5, which is about the institutional markets. So the institutional market consists of schools, hospitals, nursing homes, prisons, and other institutions that provide goods and services to people in their care. Institutions differ from one another in their sponsors and their objectives. Many institutional markets are characterized by low budgets and captive patrons. For example, public schools have limited budget and cater to a captive audience of students who rely on the education provided. Hospitals must decide on the quality of food for patients, and the food is part of a total service package, making cost considerations